the DigiPodcast, Digital Trends in Supply Chain Management.
Hello and welcome to our DigiPodcast. I'm Thomas Holzner from Siemens SCM Digi Network with the DigiPodcast, a podcast on digital and innovative topics for procurement in the future. Digitalization is becoming increasingly important for every company. At Siemens in particular, digitalization is a fundamental element for success. But how is digitalization practiced at Siemens Supply Chain Management? What do we focus on? The aspect of digital transformation and innovation is particularly close to our hearts. In our podcast, we highlight different aspects and share best practices with various digital experts and listen to their stories. Almost everyone has certainly experienced a manager who, due to various behaviors, has not necessarily become one's own role model. And I can only emphasize that. Probably the agility and the mindset of the manager could have been improved. Yes. But actually, what makes a good leader in the digital age? What should one pay attention to? In today's episode of the DigiPodcast, I have the specialist who dealt with these questions from a very early on stage, especially in the Digi leadership area, Christian Kabusch. He has made himself a name through his expertise. Hello, Christian. Nice to have you here.
Hi, Thomas. Thank you very much for the invitation. It's a pleasure for me to be here today.
Christian, thanks that you joined. Christian, you especially focused in the area of leadership in the digital age at a very, very early stage. At Siemens, in the meantime, the buzzword digital leadership has come up. That's a pretty big thing. But what does it exactly mean? And above all, what are the reasons behind this approach?
Yeah, Thomas, to answer that question, we have to look back in 2017 as we founded the SCM Digi Network. We talked about technology, operations and business model, but this was not enough. We figured out that to make a transformation successful, we also have to talk about people. And people, we mean especially about the mindset, not what we are doing, how we are doing things.
I can remember quite well. But what then after 2017?
Together in a group of 5 people, we developed a workshop where we bring people together, where we worked out, where we give them the room to exchange and the freedom to talk about the necessary changes of leadership behavior. And that was quite interesting to see how this has developed over the last years.
The development itself is a huge success, and I think we can also come back to this later, but I can imagine that the transformation, especially a mindset change for leaders, is not always met with positive feedback. And some of them probably also feel a little bit of, will I be really needed in the future? So it's about their existence. So what you experience here?
You're absolutely right. I mean, not everybody supports us at the beginning as we had this idea. We figured out, and our aim was to first appreciate what leaders has achieved in the last couple of years. Before we start to talk about the new things, what is needed in the future. And at the same time, we also invited everybody to participate. So nothing was secret, nothing was hidden, and it was not ours. It was ours in terms of everything was accessible for the entire company. And that was one key success factor which we really have decided at the beginning to involve and to include everybody who wants to participate.
I can remember quite well because we were irritated how aggressively you published everything, because you were one of the first Siemens managers to be active on social media. So I call you a role model there. But what role do you ascribe to social networks, and why do you think it's important to be present there?
As you said, it was totally new at this time to share everything. And it's not about the sharing himself. It is about to create an added value for others, which things you are share. So everybody can't use our content. You can adjust that for your individual needs. You can ask us for sparring. And that creates a great momentum for people within Siemens that there were something which they can tailor, but at the same time they had some guidance from us, from our experiences, what we have experienced so far, what are our thoughts, and we continuously develop that forward.
You just said Siemens internally, but when I remember correctly, you're a really global guy, but how about your contact with the world outside Germany, outside Europe? Did you get some input there?
Yeah, that was amazing. I started at the same time to be active on social media. It was in 2017-18, and I get in touch with colleagues around the globe, internally and externally, which I never met before. And that I'm totally sure that would not happen if I'm not active on social media and to share what we did.
What tips do you have if other companies want to jump on this bandwagon? What should they look out when they want to involve their executives, their management, and what's your, say, best practice approach? Or is there a best practice approach?
I mean, there are more success factors, how I want to call it. One is a common purpose of a group who believes on a certain thing. On the other hand, it is the openness and the sharing, as I mentioned before. Appreciation, and as well, start small and scale big. And this is also what we did. So we are not and developed the entire concept and roll it out afterwards. As far it was not planned to have a big rollout. We did 2 sessions. We tested it. We learned from it. We adapted. And then we created a kind of not pushing concept. It was a pull concept. A lot of people contacted us that they want to do it. They don't have to do it.
Okay, you said from push to pull. So what was the coverage for this?
The coverage, I mean, we trained more than 500 people within the supply chain management organization so far. And we also trained 500 people outside, around the globe, in other organizations. And I think this is really a great success to see how people are inspired to that, what we did. And also now, I think there is a huge attention on the topic of leadership mindset when it comes to transformation.
Christian, this was quite impressive about the coverage with the leaders and what you all initiated and then rolled out. But now coming to my most favorite question and last but not least, who is Christian Kabusch?
Yeah, Christian is back from his last assignment from Austria. He's living in Munich. He's 40 years old. He's passionate about diving, like change, like transformation, open, sharing, innovative, in a way self-confident, of course, and proud to be at Siemens.
Wow, I think you forgot something with the fishes.
You mean passionate diver?
Yes, we were always thinking, how can this guy get out of the holiday concept of Germany so many diving days? And I think we were always happy when you came back healthy. So thanks a lot, Christian. I hope you and your listeners enjoyed this episode of this Digi Leadership Digi podcast. If you have questions or you want to find out more information about the SCM Digi Network, reach out to our internet page, siemens.com/DigiNetwork. I'm looking forward having you as a listener at our next episode. Yours, Thomas Holzner from Siemens SCM Digi Network. Goodbye.
The DigiPodcast, Digital Trends in Supply Chain Management.